Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and it is back. For those of you who know, it's the 5-2-3. For those of you who don't know, this formation was a beast for a few different metas. It was largely responsible for the rise to the top of the world rankings for OG International, aka myself. And if you were along for the ride, you saw my previous tactics. Many of you adopted this and had much success with it. Then the meta started changing. We went to some other formations, tactical setups, right? But now, for different reasons, it is as OP as ever. This formation will dominate in the current meta, and we are going to go over how today. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's get into the tactical setup. And we are starting with the defensive style, which is balanced. Do not use anything else. The stamina drain is crazy, and it is even crazier with these other settings. So go with balance on defensive style. Now we move on to our depth of defense, which we have all the way up to the highest setting, which is, of course, a high depth of defense. Why are we doing this? We're not going to be one of those teams that sits as far back into our box as we can with our defenders as tight as we can, just absorbing pressure until we win the ball. We are going to get our defensive line as high up as possible when the ball is high up the pitch as possible so we can quickly get an attack going. And for many of the opponents that are parking the bus and have all their defenders sitting in their box, the higher up the pitch you win the ball, the quicker you can get it into a dangerous spot and create shots, and your opponent will not have time to set up. So that is the goal. Depth of defense all the way high up. Now, yes, if you wanted to be like many of these rats that are just sitting as far back as possible, knowing how hard it is to score even if you're whooping them because there's so many defenders in the box, all you would do is move this down to the lowest setting. I strongly recommend you don't do that, though, because it's just not fun. There's just no skill in it at all. Defense in UFL is already bad enough, but I promise you, if you have the depth of defense all the way up high, you're going to get so many more chances by winning the ball up the field and pushing it into a dangerous area, creating chances before your opponent can set up. Now, your width of defense, we are going narrow at 3 bars. The reason for this, we have 5 defenders right now, and the snapshot and one-time shots are OP, but also driving that inline and then cutting a pass back for a tap-in, that's also OP. So here's where the 5-back helps. For one, you have 3 center backs. So similar to the previous finesse shot meta, you are able to pressure your opponent and not let them get either a one-time or a snapshot. Each time they're moving the ball in a dangerous area in front of your box, you have to get used to quickly switching between your 3 center backs, taking the one closest to the ball, and putting immediate pressure on to try to at least block a shot, maybe even tackle the ball. Then, because of that extra center back, your wing backs are naturally further out wide, and you are able to send a wing back to put high pressure on a winger, right, without compromising your shape too much. You still have 4 backs that are in regular defensive shape, and that wing back being allowed to go out and put high pressure on that winger will then prevent them from easily driving the inline and putting a cutback pass in. So your goal with the wing backs, do not let a winger drive that inline and get a pass across to the middle for an easy one-time shot, tap-in goal. And in the center of the box, your center backs are trying to put immediate pressure on any of the strikers, any players that are trying to just get a snapshot or a one-time shot. Now for attacking style, you are going long ball. I always go either long ball or fast attack. Long ball works best for the 5-2-3 in this meta because it keeps your shape a little bit better than fast attack, right? Both of these create forward runs, which is what we want, right? Winning the ball and quickly getting attacks going. However, long ball just simply keeps a little bit better natural shape to your formation, and we want that in this 5-2-3. Now, players in box is set at 4, simply because they changed the whole deal with corners, with crosses, with everything else. They themselves pulled players out of the box. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I don't agree with how they made those changes or kind of how they computed who wins crosses and corners and stuff. But for me, I tweaked it down to 4 just because it sort of matches what I'm trying to do, which is simply play the ball towards the back post and either try to head it in or play a flick across the goal, because unfortunately with that pass lock you still have that pretty OP way to flick a ball in just one time a shot. Sometimes it will get blocked by defenders and keepers and stuff, but a lot of times, unfortunately, you will still score that same old corner flick. It's just for some reason the one at the near post isn't as effective, but if you cross it all the way to the back post, head it back across the front of the goal, or even try to score it sometimes, that seems to be the best way to take a corner unless you go short, which many people are. So 4 players in the box works perfectly for that, but as always, you can tweak that how you want. And last but not least, before we go into player roles, we have width of attack, which we want all the way up, which is the widest setting you can go. The reason we want the widest setting you can go is because we want to isolate the wing backs and give your wingers a chance to burn them to the end line and play a cutback pass so your strikers or whoever's in the middle can one-time it and finish it in the middle of the box, right? Because we talked about the OP methods to score, both one-time shots, right, and snapshots. Now, snapshots will be helped by this setting as well, because when you have that setting all the way out wide, right, because of how dangerous it is to let wingers drive that inline and lay a cutback pass across, the opposition's defense will have to rush out and cover them, right, and try to not let them get to the inline, which will leave you a pass to the middle of the box. Or you can drive with your winger towards the middle of the box and then act like you're going to shoot, but play that pass into your striker, or maybe even one of your central midfielders who can then take a snapshot. And now we are on player roles, and goalkeeper, we do not touch. We leave on balance and passive behavior. Don't want them running out when they shouldn't and giving up goals that we otherwise wouldn't have. Center backs, we also do not touch. Simple as that. They are perfectly fine with their normal setup. Now both wing backs are set up the same, which is attacking with close to sideline. Attack support. Support the attack. This is the most important one of each of the settings. The defensive style is under hold your position, and pass interceptions, as always, under situational. Now, this is huge because the last 5-2-3, during that time, the wingbacks were set as do not cross the halfway line because of it was pre-patch and the defender's positioning was all out of whack. Now, with the fixed positioning of your wingbacks, they are absolutely viable to support the attack, and a lot of times you will see them get into positions to drive that inline themselves, which gives you more players to lay a cutback pass to, because instead of your winger having the ball, your wing back will have it. Now the opposition has to decide who they're going to cover. It will surely leave more open players, and just having them on support the attack and that better positioning from your wingbacks now will be huge in the attack. Not to mention, because of that fix in their positioning, they are able to recover no problem, and you already have an extra center back in there to help cover while those wingbacks get back anyway. So all the way around, the 5-2-3 becomes that much more dangerous because you have the support in the attack of your wingbacks. Now moving on to your 2 central midfielders, as you can see, based on my other setup, I did not have 2 center mids. Right now, I have Endrick in there, but as I've said previously, there is no difference when you play players out of position. You literally do not feel any difference. Now, will Endrick be able to be as effective in that position as Camavinga? Absolutely not. Will I make changes after this? Most likely, but I'm just trying to tell you on the side, you can play a player out of position and you will be fine. With that being said, you want your 2 center mids in the most defensive setting, which is attacking support. Do not cross the halfway line. Crosses into the box, no. Hold your position. We don't want them going up for crosses. And pass interceptions remains on situational. These 2 players, just like in the previous 5-2-3, if you don't know though, they will be your first line of defense. They are also going to be that connecting pass when you can't get it directly from your defenders up to your front 3, which in UFL many times you can do that because of that automatic pass lock. You pretty much get that free pass up to those front 3, especially the wingers. With that being said, though, there will be times where you have to either pass through the center mids or dribble with them, and there's no one better at transitioning on a dribble than Camavinga. I can tell you that right now. As far as other options, obviously you wouldn't want someone like Endrick, who's a striker, in there, but other options, many people are talking about Valverde. Yes, he is an absolute beast in that position. You can play Valverde and he can dominate. Bellingham's another one. He's more attacking, right? And if you want to go more defensive, players like Declan Rice, Rodri, depending on where you are at, budget-wise, there's a lot of different options. Now, Tchouaméni is literally my favorite CDM, but he can also play center back, and he is an excellent center back because of his agility and everything else, and because I have him all the way buffed up, his speed is not a problem either. So you could play Tchouaméni with Camavinga and get another center back. It just depends how you want to go about it. So for me, I am probably going to, because I have Casono on the bench, put Casono where you see Tchouaméni, and then move Tchouaméni where you see Endrick, and then Endrick will start where you see Jackson. However, Jackson's a pretty, big beast himself. Like, obviously, they both, Endrick and Jackson, need to be boosted up, but that is the explanation for why I have this setup in here. It's because I'm coming from a 4-back, 4-1-2-1-2 wide, but I do have that ability to change these players, or if I want to keep it super wild, super attacking, I can just keep Endrick in there, look to get the ball to his feet as much as possible, and trust me, it will draw the attention of the opposing defenders because he is excellent on the ball, and that can only mean creating openings for my other attackers to get chances. Now moving on to our wingers, both the left winger and the right winger. The attacking style is attacking runs. The attacking width, close to the sideline to match that all the way out wide tactical setup. Crosses into the box, make yourself available for crosses. Defensive support, stay up front as high as you can, and pass interceptions is situational. We want these two players as close to the opposing goal as possible. Now, that all the way wide width of attack as well as all the way pushed up depth of defense is going to mean this with these settings. We win the ball on the defensive side. We quickly, as quick as possible, look to play the ball to either one of our wingers all the way out wide, and they immediately look to either A, go to the end line, lay a cutback pass to get the one-time shot, or B, cook towards the end line, then cut back, right, as the opposition starts favoring defending that end line, and cut back, play it into his striker's feet at the top of the box, who can then take a snapshot. This setup will give you those most OP ways to score over and over and over, and you better believe you will start getting better and better at it, and you will get more and more goals. This is a key part of how we attack. Our wingers are extremely important, and this exact setup is extremely important. And last but not least, we have our striker, who is set to attacking style, attacking runs. Defensive support is stay up front, and pass interceptions is situational. The striker, much like the wingers, is going to look to stretch the defense, get the ball as close to the opposition goal as he can to bury the ball. It's as simple as that. Now, this striker in this setup will many times be positioned at that top of the box. Now, when we can get him through, which there will be times where we can get him through, great, let's bury the ball. But as we all know, Park the Bus is very prominent with this broken defensive setup that UFL has right now, on top of a ton of players that just take advantage of it and sit as far back and as tight as possible. And in that situation, many times we will get the ball to the wingers, and then, like I said, they'll either drive across and lay a cutback for a one-time finish, or they will fake like they're driving the line, play the ball to a striker near the top of the box where they can settle it and shoot it and trigger that snapshot. So as you can see, same OP 5-2-3, just different reasons. Simple as that. As I always say, keep grinding, keep having fun, and until next one, we will see you later.